The following program is rated TVMA. What you are about to watch contains explicit language, adult themes, violence, and may not be suitable for viewers under 18. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. All right. Welcome to What the NUTZ. I'm your host, the Blue Collar Joe, and with me today, my two co-hosts, PB Blaster and Loco Biz. This is What the NUTZ, the podcast where we talk about all the things that drive us nuts. We'll explore the big, the small, the funny, and the infuriating. The things that make us want to pull our hair out and the things that make us just shake our heads. So if you're feeling a little nuts, you're in the right place. We're here to commiserate, laugh, and maybe even find some answers. On this episode, we're going to be talking about demonic possessions. And we're going to try and make it fun. I mean, we understand that there's, some stuff. Some religious stuff that's going on with the demonic possessions. We also know that I'll read you guys a disclaimer real quick. It's important to note that demonic possession is a topic that is heavily rooted in religious beliefs, and it is not scientifically proven. Okay, so we know that there's nothing that can prove it. The different cultures and religions have their own interpretation and explanations for the possession phenomena. So it's important to approach this. So we're gonna approach this topic with an open mind and respect for the different beliefs. Let's bring in the guys now. And PB Blaster, say hello.
Hey, what's up?
Logo Biz.
What it is?
What it do, big dog?
I've got a golden ticket.
Biz has a golden ticket, you guys. I meant to play this one.
Battlefield's my pussy.
I figured you usually start with that one.
All right. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about a little bit about possession right here, so okay. So there's the Christian belief of possession, right? But I did a little research, right? I was looking around on the internet, on the interwebs, and I read a few things, and I saw some stuff, right? And it actually started back in the Buddhist times. Demonic possession, where they believed that gods and the demons, or gods and the angels, or their gods, right, and the minions, would be able to possess individuals. So I was thinking that first off, we would define the demonic possession. So, the definition that I found for demonic possession is it refers to the belief of an individual's body and mind is controlled or influenced by a malevolent entity, commonly referred to as a demon or evil spirit. The possessed person may exhibit unusual behavior, altered states of consciousness, and loss of control over their actions. So another place that I found a lot of this was in Louisiana, with
Voodoo hoodoo.
Yeah, the voodoo ladies.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the voodoo is like a religion of it. on its own. It's a standalone religion.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. I was having a drink of coffee right there. But a few of the other things that I found were there are some really good there's some really good documentaries. Like if you really want to do like some serious research and you're lazy, you don't want to go to the you don't want to go to the library and read anything, because I know some folks are just like, I just don't have time. I mean, so there's The Devil and Father Amorth. It's directed by William Friedkin. He also directed The Exorcist. So he obviously, to direct The Exorcist, he had to do a lot of research into exorcisms. But the documentary is it examines the real exorcism performed by Father Gabriel Amorth, a renowned exorcist. I don't know if he's alive still or not. I didn't. I should have fucking looked into that. Let's see. I'll look it up real quick. Father Gabriel. Hopefully it'll come up. Gabriel. Hey, look at that. Dude's Italian. Is he alive?
I guess for anybody to be able to perform an exorcism, they have to be trained in Rome by the Catholic Church, correct? If in the Catholic religion, right?
I would say yes if you believe that you have to be a priest or whatever to do that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. In the Catholic religion of those lines, they
So
have
I
to
would
go
say-
to Rome for the school.
The answer would depend on your religion or your worldview. So
Right.
if you're Catholic, yeah. If not, maybe not.
Right, because like I said, in the Buddhist belief, they have priests and whatnot that are trained in that as well.
Well, that's what I was saying, but just in the Catholic religion,
Right.
you have to.
So this father, he died in 2016. Father Amorth. I hope that's how you say his name. Amorth. So, but that's just one. There's several here. Let's see here. The Hostage to the Devil, based on the book by Malachi Martin. This documentary delves into the life and work of Father Malachi Martin, an Irish Catholic priest and exorcist. So, one thing I did run into when I was doing my research on this was that a lot of the exorcisms were part of the Catholic faith.
Mhm.
Like you don't hear about Christians. I mean, like you don't hear about Seventh-day Adventists or Christians, doing exorcisms like the Catholic Church did. And I don't know if that's like a I don't. I believe it's because the Catholic religion is it's more ritualistic kind of belief. Like there's a lot. If you've ever been to a Catholic mass, there's a lot of ritual to the mass. There's not so much Bible reading as it is, say the Our Father, say, sing a hymn, that kind of deal.
Mhm.
It's more ritualistic than it is like non-denominational. You go in and they would read from the Word, and they would go from there. So that's the definition. And like I said, most of my research that I found was not like in other religions. I mean, a lot of religions believe in that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's not as how can I put this? It's not as publicized. So I wasn't finding a lot. Like there is not a lot of information about exorcism on the interwebs. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I tried to find the movies, some of the movies, and some of them are just discontinued. They're not they're not able to find unless you buy them.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So the cultural and religious beliefs, belief in demonic possession exists in various cultures and religions. So Christianity, obviously, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and that's the other thing. Okay, so I can attest to there being exorcisms in the Bible. There's an account in I want to say it's Matthew or Mark where Jesus is talking to the guy and the guy has been possessed and he talks to him and he asks the demon what his name was and he said Legion, and which means many, so there's many demons in this guy, right? And he casts out the demons. He casts out the demons out of the man. In the Bible. So that's one account that we can see. Obviously, it goes back to Bible times that exorcisms were a thing, and demonic possession was a thing. So, but the symptoms and the explanation for the possession may vary significantly between different beliefs. So like in Christian belief, it's more like oh, you let the demon in. You open the door for the demon. A lot of them believe that if you have a weak mind, that's why you get possessed. A lot of people in Christianity believe that way. I don't know much about Islam or Judaism. I just know what I've read in the Bible about exorcism. There are multiple accounts of exorcisms. Now, a lot of the symptoms of demonic possession include like personality change. So like it could be that at a time, there was no such thing as bipolar disorder, right? And and so so that could have been like mistaken as demonic possession. If you see what I'm saying, like, so that could be like a mental health issue, and that person speaking crazy, like multiple personality disorder could have been misconstrued as a
Possession.
yeah, as a possession. Like you're talking as a 40-year-old man, and then all of a sudden you're talking as a 15-year-old girl.
I don't know. That sounded kind of progressive.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Kind of progressive. You've never okay.
Kind of like the left at the moment.
Okay, hold on a second. What do you know about multiple personality disorder?
Not a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so multiple personality disorder, I've done a little research on it. It usually derives from trauma. So you might have the the alpha guy, and he's like and aggressive, right? And then you've got the beta guy, and he's like and you've got the inner child that the alpha and the beta are trying to protect.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got like, and the alpha only comes out when something traumatic is happening.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a defense mechanism. So, uh, but there have been cases, right, where deep down, one of the personalities is a 9-year-old little girl who just likes flowers and rainbows and whatnot, right? That could be a part of your brain that you're like, oh, whenever you see a butterfly, right, or you see something beautiful, you're like, oh, that I like that, But that's that part of your brain, and your brain has in your mind, right? Depending on how you were conditioned, in your mind, that's what your mind decides to transition to, instead of being like male or female.
Gotcha. I remember there was just this one story of this dude a couple years back that he was like in his 30s and he decided to transition to like a 9-year-old girl, and these people let him move in and started treating him like he's their 9-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So I was just like, oh, that sounds like some progressive thinking.
So yeah, there are some folks out there that do some whacked out stuff. All right, wearing diapers and pretending to be babies and pretending all that other stuff. Right. Now I'm not knocking any of that stuff. Not at all. What I'm saying is like your mind works in such a weird way that a part of your personality, right? Like I'm not always masculine all the time, right? I'm sensitive with my girl. Sometimes, I'm I try and be kind, right? That might come out as female because of the way I perceive the world. Right?
Mhm.
Right? Okay? So that would be my my perception of that. Especially when it comes to multiple personality disorders, okay? And from the way I understand it. Because at one time I thought I was schizophrenic. Well, I'm not, because I don't believe people are out to get me anymore. But it was just drugs I was on.
He was messing around, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I did. I used a lot of meth, and it changes your mind to where you think everybody's out to get you, even your own mom. And it's
That's crazy.
yeah, it's horrible, dude. I once I got off of it and I realized that people weren't out to get me no more, I still get a tinge of, oh fuck, is this person following me to my house? When they've made like 3 turns behind me and I'm like, oh fuck, maybe I need to drive past my house and keep going. Yeah. Meth has really messed me up. It makes it hard for me to string words together. Like I'll have a conscious thought, and then I'll have like another conscious thought, right? Like instantaneously.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's made my mind racy, and my mind was never racy before I started using meth. But
I mean, I do that sometimes. Like, I'll think of 2 words at the same time and kind of blur them together.
yeah.
That does sound true.
All right, so we've talked a little bit about the religious beliefs. Like I said, I don't know much about the religious beliefs. If you guys know anything else, like other than the Hinduism and the Buddhism, I'm a firm believer of a lot of the Eastern philosophies, right? There is no right or wrong. There just is, right?
Mhm. Well, see, in Eastern philosophy too, possession's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, you can also get possessed by like good beings to do good things. Like,
Right.
possession's more of a neutral thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Like, say, if you got possessed by your higher self to do the best you could in that given moment, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that movie Mulan, right? Where the dragon, right?
Kinda.
Yeah. You have like that persona that's pushing you to do you know, it's pushing you to do good instead of evil,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
They
possession doesn't necessarily have to always be like a negative context, but usually that's just the context that people are
right.
interested in.
And here's the reason why. I got some other films. These are actual fictional films. You've got The Exorcist of 1973. You got The Exorcism of Emily Rose. These are all fake, right? But if you look at if you looked at any of these movies, right, you've already in your mind had a negative connotation to exorcism or to possession. You know, just because this person is not acting the way that you want this person to act. Like it could be maybe your son or daughter wanted to transition, right? Or was like, in that mindset, and that's the way they interpreted it. And at the time, that's the way they were like, well, we got to get the father involved because this is unacceptable behavior, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a theory. I don't have no proof of that, but that's a theory that is quite possible.
I don't necessarily know about that one.
Oh, I believe that I believe that a lot of things from back in the day could have been misinterpreted.
Well,
Well,
I
I
do
mean,
too, but I don't necessarily believe we should always look like with our current context back into the past to try to explain things.
Yeah,
Not always.
right.
well, also, I don't know if you think this way, but there's other types of possession, like a medium's holding a ritual where family members get in touch and talk through the medium or psychic. That's technically
Well,
possession,
yeah,
also.
channeling's like light possession. That's like them being able to talk through you without being able to control you.
Right.
Yep, yep. I was just saying that's another sort of possession.
Well, yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
So in other words, I
terrible.
think what PB's getting at is there's a lot of different things in the topic that couldn't be excused away by mental illness or just progressive changes we've made in society.
Right. Well, this is true, but I'm saying that there could be a 1 to 3% chance of some of these documented events of possession that could very well have been something along the lines of demonic possession
Well, see, but I'm
or
not
mental
putting it
health.
like kicking it out to the side either and saying it ain't possible. Like you know, the whole witch trial thing is believed to be due to
Yes.
like ergot
There you
poisoning and
go.
people so I'm not saying that there's not possibly some physical explanation for some of these events and things. It's just kind of hard to read back into it and say, maybe trans people were responsible for some
Oh, I'm not saying that they're
possession claims back in the day, them thinking they were maybe possessed when they were just trans or something.
I'm just that's it. Well, yeah, well, that's true. Maybe cuz think about it like this. Think about in the Christian America, right? In the Christian America. If
Mhm.
you have a differing view from Christianity, right? And well, oh, you must be possessed by the devil. I mean, I don't know. It could be there could be a twofold thing going there, like it could be that, it could be It could be actual possession. It's I know we're treading on like really uh, thin ice right here, but I don't discount possession.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm saying, like I don't, and I'm not trying to just throw it off on a mental disorder, right? I'm not trying to say, oh well, it's this. No, I'm saying these are possibilities out there in the world, and all the movies and whatnot, they're portraying it as it's cut and dried. This, it has to be evil. It has to be this,
Yeah.
and I don't particularly believe that way. You know, like you were saying, is you can be possessed for good. Like someone could. I mean, the movie Ghost, right? If you look at the movie Ghost, right, and Patrick Swayze jumps into, uh, why am I drawing a blank on her? Her,
Whoopi.
yeah, Whoopi, right? He jumps into Whoopi, right? He has a meaningful experience with his wife. Right? So that's like a good possession, right? Because he, you know, that's what that would be considered, I would say. Like that would be a good portrayal of possession. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying, but I what I am saying is that 90% of all the possessions that I came across when I was doing my research for this podcast were negative. And there was underlying, like, there was shit that made me question the use of exorcism. Like, maybe this person had some kind of disability, or, I mean, because you figure we didn't know about Down syndrome, you know, until recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that one.
Okay,
Don't
so
know.
Down syndrome was discovered in 1866, right? But prior
Yeah.
to the 1800s, think about it. In the Dark Ages, something as simple as Down syndrome could have been, oh, it's possessed. My child is possessed by the devil.
Well, that's possible. I'm not saying that didn't or
No,
couldn't have happened.
I'm not saying it. No, but what I'm saying is like there could have been like throughout history, like the farther you go back, and the more you look into it, you're like, oh, could this have been something else that we now know today as something else? That's a possibility.
Well, it's possible for a lot of cases, but I don't think that could explain all of them.
No. I would say less than 5%.
Well, no, that could even be 30 to 40% of the cases that it's some now diagnosed mental illness today, but I wouldn't say that's all of them.
Right. I don't know. I just in my research of this subject, I was kind of you know, I always take care. I when I do the research, I try and make sure that I'm looking at it from a
All
perspective.
angles.
Well, a neutral perspective. I don't want to fucking be like, yeah, I'm totally, you know, Christian and I believe this and it's got to be true. It's like, hold on. Is there another option to this? Could there have been another diagnosis? I mean, you know, it's definitely a touchy subject. You know, because folks when you start asking questions about possession, they're like, what's going on? Why do you want to know this?
Well, there's also a bias too, like how we were talking about, like it could be for a positive thing earlier.
Yes.
Okay, well, we usually just take credit for the positive ones ourselves and then try to separate ourselves from the negative one. You get what I mean?
Right.
So generally, if it's a positive one, you just take credit for it, and if it's a negative one, you're like, "Oh, that wasn't me." You get what I mean?
Yes.
So there's a little bit of confirmation bias in the selection of the data. I would say, like the good ones just aren't like you take credit for that. That's not studied.
Right. Well, see, that
Yeah.
that was what I ran across. Like when like I was saying, I tried to take this view, right? And I'm looking into the a bunch of individual cases, right? And then I'm like, well, did this one have a medical condition that for the reason, or was it some other outside, like I can understand if, my child was growing, right, in age 10, age 12, age 15, right? And then all of a sudden there's a change, right? There's like a overnight change, right? That's different. But if my child had had this condition for since birth and I attributed it to demonic possession, then that is like that's questionable. I'm kind of like,
Well, see, okay. Well, there's a little bit of an issue with that kind of because usually when people are talking about possession, they're talking about like a radical change in something, like
right,
not something that's like a norm from birth.
right. But that's why I was going. This is what I found. Okay, this is what I
Hmm.
found. This is what I found. Um, in the Dark Ages, like in the 1500s and the 1400s, there are a few cases where the child died because of the exorcism.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Now I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Like the details of the exorcism were scanty, and there wasn't a lot of facts to go on. So I'm really just kind of going on what I read. Um, but it kind of felt like the kid had a disorder.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm like I said, it wasn't every case. Every case wasn't like that, but I'm saying there are cases out there that they're like, oh, it had to be possession. Oh, it had to be. Oh, jeez. It's like no, you have to.
Well, at some point, that was just the best explanation they had at the time. So I get the argument you're making.
Yes, I,
No,
I
no, I completely understand what you're saying.
oh, I know.
I just don't think the whole phenomena can be boiled down to that.
No, but I think
But I would say there's a lot of that in what you're saying. I would say a lot of the previous cases are things that were just misdiagnosed that we know now to be something else. But I do agree with that.
I yeah. I'm just because when I think about it, there's a lot of things. There are a lot of things like um it's like okay, um they used to do bloodletting with leeches, right? We don't do that no more, right? We have a machine that takes our blood out, filters it, puts it back, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and they used to put maggots on a fucking wound so they would eat the dead skin. I mean,
Right.
a
Yeah.
lot of things we used to do,
Yeah.
but it was the best we knew at the time.
Right. And that's
Mhm.
that, and that's what I think that's where I'm going with that, you know.
Okay, well, I would say it since it's a phenomena that still continues today, like it's something that's still documented today. It, though there may be future mental illnesses that we could discover that accounts for a
Right.
larger percentage, I still think there's something going on in a sense. Like basically, I think humans are physical beings, but there's like a non-physical part of ourself, and that non-physical part of ourself can, commune with good spirits, dark spirits, whatever.
Right.
But through us having that non-physical part of ourselves, that's what could lead to possession or stuff like that.
Right. And
I think
I totally concur with that sentiment there.
I think people usually have to open themselves up in some way for it to happen, though.
You know, I okay,
Like,
so in my research, I did find a few cases where the the person that was being exorcised had messed around with the Ouija board.
mhm.
Like,
I would say that'd be a lot of cases. Like in
I,
modern day, that
yeah,
would be a lot of
I
cases.
would say that kind of like that's kind of like opening a portal into the other realm, you know.
Mhm.
And that's if you believe that. I kind of have you know my theories on that. I have I think there's another parallel universe or uh, another realm identical to ours but evil.
Well, see, okay, just to get like lingo, kind of the way I think about it is there's like parallel realities, and that's like changing the dial on the radio, like moving the frequency left or right. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Right.
Or changing the wavelength. But then there's like actually changing the octave, going like up and down to a different dimension. So basically, the way I look at it, the universe is kind of like a multiverse where it's got like an unlimited parallel realities to where
Right.
basically all events take place.
Like a spider web, kind of.
Kind of. And
Like
then
a
there's higher and lower octaves that are all occurring in the same space. So
so
literally, heaven and hell are in the same exact space. It's just what octave you're on.
okay. Right. So kind of like a funnel web.
Hmm.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
That's just the way I kind of conceptualize it. So, like a parallel reality would be like a reality on the same wavelength or same frequency, but just shit's different. But then you would have like higher, lower dimensions that,
Right. PB
it's
what
more like what you were talking about with something negative in the same space.
right. PB, do you have anything to add to this?
Mm, no, no, because you all pretty much covered both the ways I conspiracize about it.
I mean, there's I don't know. I'm
Well, I mean, just to tie it back to a previous conversation we had, like when we was talking about Wendigos and shit, that's like Native American possession.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying is it has to be there has to be a how can I put this? A grain of truth to it because why okay, the only reason I say that is because why out of all these different people, right? These different religions, these different ethnicities, these different cultures, right? Why is it like across the board like there's like this little line
Well,
that kind of draws them together, you know what I'm saying?
okay, well then I could switch that around and say there's probably a certain element of the human experience that is the same between all of these cultures, and dispossession might be a part of the human experience.
Okay.
I mean, because all these cultures we're talking about, even though they're different cultures, they're human. So if that's something that's a part of the human experience, you would expect to see it in many different cultures.
Yeah, but cultures that can't speak to each other, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. If it's a part of the human experience, they would have a way of describing that that might be different from another culture, but they're still talking about the same
The
thing.
same thing, right? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm on the same page with you. Okay. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. All right. Um yeah, cuz that's where I think there's a grain of truth on this.
Mhm.
You know, the one thing I did find in my research was that it wasn't just Americans. It wasn't just Guatemalans. It wasn't just, Irish. It wasn't just German. It wasn't Asian. right? It wasn't Chinese, Japanese. It was everywhere. There are cases of this possession, evil or otherwise, all over the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, being that all of us, you know, we all don't communicate the same way, right?
Hmm.
Right.
We don't all speak English, you know. We there like you said, there has to be an experience that everyone is experiencing the same.
Yeah,
That
and we have different names for it, but we're
r-
talking about relatively the
right,
same experience.
right, right.
Well, see, I find that's why like philosophy is interesting and reading a lot of old and ancient philosophy. They had different words for it all back then, but they're still talking about the same experience, like the pursuit of happiness and all this and that.
Well, that okay. So let's bring it back to Christianity for a second. Philosophy and Christianity, right? Okay, so one I when I read some of the accounts in the Bible,
Hmm.
right? They were not, oh, this person was possessed. That wasn't the word they used. The word was, you know, like ailed or, you know, sick, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It wasn't until the New Testament that they started using the word possession.
Hmm.
Like in the Old Testament when they talk about like a physical possession, um it it was definitely not, it was characterized in a way that this person was bedridden, this person, you know, uh had something that they couldn't figure out what was wrong with.
Well,
So,
see, in a lot of cultures where they might not even call it like exorcism, they might
right,
just refer to it as like cleansing, to where if you cleanse the
right.
spirit, you will cleanse the body type deal.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that the Old Testament, like the first the law, the first 5 books, right? The first 4 or 5 books. Um, the law had a lot of cleansing rituals in there. Do we do them today? No, not really, but we do a form of cleansing.
Hmm.
Of that same cleansing that they have prescribed for, you know, thousands of years. We're still doing it, and they had it written down, you know, thousands of years ago. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I think we've pretty much covered this. I'm gonna read this real quick. This is the last little bit that I wanted to emphasize. I want to emphasize this whole discussion right here today was just us exploring the phenomenon known as demonic possession and the things that surround it. So, like there was, you know, we want to keep in mind that it's a subject that demonic possession is a subject of religious and cultural interpretation and belief. If you are interested in studying the topic further, I recommend consulting religious texts, scholarly. I don't know how to say that.
Scholarly.
That's it. Scholarly. Sometimes my brain is like, these letters are not supposed to be together. Um, and speaking with experts in religious studies and theology to gain a deeper understanding of different perspective and interpretations. So, like, when preparing for this, I was unable to get in contact. I did send out a few emails, and I have yet to hear from the religious individuals that I think they didn't take me seriously.
um,
Honestly,
I think we could revisit this topic again, but us narrow down a little more on the specificity of talking about religious possession versus other types, or just
Yeah.
get a little more narrow on the topic?
I think we could. Because this is like a broad topic.
This is more the broad like possession in its entirety. I think we could narrow it down more like on specific topics or cases that might be interesting.
Right. I think it would.
Like I think talking about a particular case would be interesting, and having the debate on a particular case.
Yeah.
I concur. So on a future episode, you guys will see. We'll see about revisit. My lips don't work good. Revisiting this.
And hopefully in a few episodes we'll all have webcams.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks you for watching. If you liked what you saw and you made it this far, please hit that like and subscribe. A new episode drops each Friday night. I premiere it live, so I can be in the comments and interact with you guys live while the episode is going on. Once again, thank you for watching, and we appreciate you.
I heard you've been looking for me, bitch. Here I go. I heard you've been looking for me, bitch. Here I go. I hear that you're looking for me, bitch. Here I go.